Oh, pre-live.
The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry.
Live.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Friday, January 17th, and today is Popeye the Sailor Man Day, you guys.
The Sailor Man.
Yeah, Popeye the Sailor Man. Yeah, you got to get some spinach in, you know what I'm saying? You know, got to save olive oil, you know what I mean? All of that good shit.
Eat your greens.
Yes. Oh, man, we love some greens over here. It's also National Classy Day. I feel like I should have maybe dressed up a little bit. Maybe I'll do that on Monday.
These are weird days already off to the start.
Hold on. You're gonna love this, Jesse. It's also National Hot Buttered Rum Day.
Oh, I do like that. Hot buttered rum is one of my favorites.
Hot buttered rum. We actually were at a hotel last night and tried to order some hot buttered rum, and they didn't have any.
Hold on, what the fuck is hot buttered rum?
Hot buttered rum?
Yeah.
You've never had a hot buttered rum, Rico?
It's a warm alcoholic beverage, Rico. For when it's cold outside.
It's a spiced beverage. You do a bunch of spices like cinnamon and allspice.
Not to be confused with spice.
shout out to K2.
It's basically spices. It's what it sounds like. It's spices and butter and rum. It's delicious. And sugar.
Spices and butter and rum. Oh my.
Yeah, it sounds like I need to stay away from it with my gout ass.
Oh yeah. Yeah, fair enough. You know, Rico.
Waiting to happen.
Rico is the gout master. That is true.
Gout, no doubt.
Yeah, gout, no doubt. Oh, that's pretty cute, Rico. That's pretty cute. Not mad at that. Not mad at that at all. And guess what else today is? Shoutout. Oh man, this is my favorite part of today. It's National Bootleggers Day, you guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Not
long live the trap.
Yeah, not bootlickers, but bootleggers.
The original trap.
Yes.
Every day seems to be bootlicker day here in America lately.
As long as Joe Biden's the president, it is. Just saying.
Sure.
Just saying.
It has nothing to do with Joe Biden. It has everything to do with the sentiment of the nation.
It's not the sentiment of the nation. It's because we have this dark Democratic cloud that's been raining down upon us for the last 4 years.
Joe Biden and Donald Trump are just two symptoms of the disease.
Oh God, you are such no, but you guys you're cute. Anyways, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet, and we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And man, oh man, we are going to kick this off with the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte. What are you doing over there with that big ass High at 9 News ball just floating around?
Cool.
Man. Look at that. It's just floating. It's we're going global apparently, or
the
something
Death Star.
like that. Yeah, it's just floating around. I feel like I'm about to, you know what I mean? It's going to start like shooting laser beams at me or something like that. You know what I mean?
You might like it.
Yeah, I bet. We need to go to 4 desk. There we go. Yes. There we go. There we go. Oh, look at that. You guys got names and stuff, and you know what I'm saying? Names aren't under the right people, but it's close.
I'm Jenny.
Yeah. All right, it's all right.
I'm Dr. John.
Yeah,
yes.
we're working on a lot of cool
Rico,
stuff
are
for
they
you
saying
guys.
we all look alike?
There we go. Now we got to go to 5.
I know, right? Yeah, look at that. Yeah. Jenny Beth called you. They called you racist, Jason. Jenny Beth called you racist.
People call me all kinds of shit. People call me shit all the time, Rico. I don't care about any of that.
Jason's just happy people are still calling him.
Oh God, you guys.
Good morning.
You guys are funny. You guys are funny.
All right, you ready to get this shit popping? Because mine's a little dense. So I want to make sure that
yeah, you do. You
do.
You do.
Mine's very important. Yeah.
Oh, yours is very important. Like others people's aren't.
Oh, well, mine is.
I see what you did there.
Mine is very important, and I just want to make sure I get through it. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
So let's hop into it.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. There we go. There's the transition. Everyone's names are correct. That's what I was waiting for right there, you guys. Look at that. You guys got name tags today. Look at that. You guys are pretty fancy.
All right.
Look at that. All right, we're going to kick it off with the dope dad himself, who suddenly, all of a sudden, is in a major hurry today. That's right. He is the oh, man, I'm not even going to go into that nonetheless. He's the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte.
I appreciate that, Jason. And like I said, my story is a little dense, and I wanted to make sure I got through it, but it's very, very, very important. So let's get into it. So some of y'all know me beyond High at 9 News. Know that I'm just a chill guy. I'm a dad.
Is that what they say?
Right, dad, husband, family man, all of that. A bit of a nerd too, with a decent understanding of computer science. I blame my grandfather for all that shit. The original Frederic Lamitte. He got into computer programming back in the 60s, serving in the U.S. military, in the Army, actually. Grandpa Fred knew computers were the future and continued in the field as a civilian back in the late 70s. My mother had to drop out of college when she had me at 19 years old, but luckily Grandpa was in a position to pull a few strings and got her a near intern level help desk job at GE. Over a few decades, my mom worked her way up to international IT lead at GE, directing the company's Y2K transitioning efforts at the end of the 90s. It's pretty cool. I'll never forget how pissed off she'd get having to fix my college laptops after I'd download viruses and malware from porn and bootleg mixtapes off of LimeWire, the good old days. While I never really did anything on the programming or IT side of the game, I currently lead California, New Jersey, and New York sales for Happy Cabbage, an AI cannabis retail optimization firm. We do dope shit and make retailers a lot of money with automated marketing and inventory software. I try not to nerd out too much while I'm on the show with you guys and lose folks' attention. But if you listen closely, you'll probably have caught a few hints of that nerdiness in my comments or some of the cannabis technology stories I'll randomly choose to cover. Like on November 27th, 2024, the day before this past Thanksgiving. I did one about Ben Taylor, executive director of Virginia-based cannabis cybersecurity firm, Information Sharing and Analysis Organization, or ISAO. Taylor was sounding the alarm on a massive cybersecurity threat to legal cannabis operators in the U.S. and said at the time that the Everest ransomware group, a malicious hacker collective known for stealing and selling data from healthcare industry on the dark web, had been circling legal cannabis operators as its new favorite prey. Ransomware is the type of malicious software or malware that permanently blocks access to the victim's personal data unless a ransom is paid. While some simple ransomware can lock a user's system without damaging any files, others use a technique called cryptoviral extortion. It encrypts the victim's files, making them inaccessible, and demands a ransom payment to decrypt them. It's pretty fucked up. Everest has been identified by federal agencies multiple times since 2020 for engaging in data extortion and ransomware operations known for targeting vulnerable targets in healthcare. And guess who they caught lacking at the end of last year as a small yet rapidly growing subsection of healthcare that perfectly fit their MO. Retail cannabis. That story wasn't sexy enough to really blow up, and it was probably one of my most forgettable reads. I doubt you guys even remember it, but fast forward to this week, and guess who the fuck just got hit? LA-based cannabis brand and retailer Stiizy confirmed that hackers access sensitive customer data, including government-issued IDs and medical cannabis cards, during a November 2024 cyber attack. The breach occurred at 4 California retail locations and affected data processed by an unnamed point-of-sale vendor. Take that in, y'all. Take that in. According to cybersecurity firm Halicon AI, compromised information includes names, addresses, dates of birth, transaction data, and 420,000 identification documents because I guess assholes like this have senses of humor too. And guess who claimed responsibility for this attack? The Everest ransomware group, alleging that they leaked the data on the dark web after Stiizy ignored ransom demands. So far, Stiizy has not disclosed the total number of affected customers or provided further details. And before you guys jump at the opportunity to talk shit about Stiizy, y'all got to understand how vulnerable we all are to this. They might have just been the first to be outed as a victim. Everest has successfully attacked some of the biggest and most respected companies in healthcare, financial services, behavioral sciences, government, and aerospace sectors. They even got NASA. And now, as if we needed anything else as an obstacle to our industry success, American retail cannabis has been confirmed as their new favorite target. So yeah, expect to see more stories like this come to light in the near future because, frankly, most cannabis retailers cannot afford to properly train their staff or put in place all of the measures to ensure shit like this will not happen to them. Add that to the fact ransomware and dickheads using it are constantly evolving their techniques. My prediction is that the biggest cannabis companies will do what they can to protect their data, or they'll just keep paying ransoms to keep the shit under wraps. Unfortunately, the smaller operators with less cash to fight back are and will be the most vulnerable. There's a number of ways to protect yourself against ransomware attacks, and I highly suggest anybody hearing this message hits ChatGPT up for the best tips available that'd fit your specific business needs. But I got to keep it real. You'll never be 100% safe. These guys are so good at what they do, governments cannot stop them, and we are last on the list for assistance when shit like this goes down. Buckle up, y'all. 2025 is underway. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News.
Hold on, Rico. So you're telling me that this all happened because of a POS?
We don't know yet. All the details aren't out, but they said that that's where the vulnerability. No, we don't know.
You obviously didn't catch that.
It's because of a piece of shit.
Okay, so sometimes it doesn't pay to be the biggest and most glaring name out there, right? Because if you're attacking NASA, you're attacking major healthcare companies, and you decide to jump over to cannabis. Shout out to Stiizy for Stiizy having that large presence to make them seem that interesting. But I think I would assume that it probably was point of sale data because that's typically where you're storing your customer records, especially on the medicinal side, right? When you're keeping recommendations and things and keeping track of that, that's usually tracked on your POS.
It could be, or it could be a third-party vendor or plugin. We won't know until more information is released. If Stiizy ends up releasing all of that information, we'll be able to learn more. But I guarantee you, there's more people have been hit. They're just the first ones to be outed.
They're the first ones to be outed. What's that, Jenny?
I wonder if it is the point of sale system, who's actually liable? If it's Stiizy that's liable for the breach, or if it's
it'd be the POS.
Yeah,
POS would be liable.
But weren't these brick and mortar locations, correct? Four of them, you said?
Yeah, it just said 4 of them were affected.
Were they Stiizy locations?
I don't know if I'm buying that one.
But here's the thing. It could be their online ordering widget. It could be some kind of processor they're using. There's multiple points of vulnerability. It could be multiple points that were actually targeted and that were accessed. Like, we don't have enough information to tell where exactly the breach was. But this is major, and there are only a few POS providers in the cannabis industry, right? So this could be massive, and a lot of people could be affected by this, and a lot of people's information can be doxxed immediately if they don't pay up.
Yeah, I mean, there are only a few good ones. There's definitely more, but there's only a few good ones for sure.
Man, oh man.
The ultimate dickhead move was they released 420,000 of the name.
You know, the unfortunate part about this is that the only alternative for people to protect their information is to go to the trap, because in order to make a purchase at any licensed store, you have to give up all your information.
All of our information is already out there, man. We live under this false sense of security, man. Like, everybody on if you are on social media, like, You really believe that they're giving you the privacy that they say that they're giving you?
No one reads those terms of service. No. They're totally, yeah, exactly.
Remember what happened with Telegram? Like motherfuckers, if they want to get in, if there's enough incentive for them to get in, and they have a way to make money off of it, they're going to do it.
It's to like hack something. Like, honestly, I am a woman, and what we are unpaid detectives. So piss me off. I'm gonna find out where your grandma lives, your mama's house, where you went to high school, detectives. What age you first, did That's this. Cute. I will have your beeper number from 1984. Like, don't play with me because I will have a spreadsheet on everything that you've said and everything that you've done for your entire life, and I can call your mama and tell her that you aren't shit.
Yep,
and if you write the ship with Jenny Beth, and if you write the ship with Jenny Beth Dills, a hacker can hack into her shit and take it and then sell it on the dark web.
I mean, back when I had a Motorola flip phone, I remember one chick hacked my voicemail and was listening to my voice messages for at least 5 years until she exposed herself.
Anything good in there?
I mean, people used to leave me lots of great messages, Jenny Beth. And that's one of the reasons I don't use voicemail anymore at all, period. Like, to me, there's no point to voicemail now that the text messaging is so prevalent. You can see your missed call log and you got text messages. So it's like, what's the point of leaving a voice message? It's just an extra thing for me to have to check.
Quantum computing is here, and nobody is safe.
Oh man, we were having a whole conversation about that last night, Rico.
Yep.
Oh man, the whole quantum thing, and you know what I'm saying?
I told you, man.
Prove string theory, and you know what I'm saying? How we are all just in the matrix. Dr. Talleyrand, do you know anything about this quantum computing?
I know it requires a lot of energy that a lot of people are using it, but yeah, pretty trippy, huh?
Yeah, man. I mean, when you look at it, it just proves that we are definitely not alone.
Yeah, this is we're in there's a simulation, man. It's a projection. There are multiple universes, and I don't know, man. Like, a lot of shit's going down. This is the wrong show. Like I said, Jason, we gotta have a conspiracy show so we can break down like some of this shit. And
so
interesting year.
Did Stiizy, did they pay the ransom?
They did not, and that's why they leaked all of the data onto the dark web. That's what I was saying. Like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And if it happens to you once, like, what's to say they're not gonna hit your ass again and get more? So they're gonna just start draining motherfuckers' pockets, and you're gonna start seeing a lot of stuff online.
Wow. Well, we're going to roll into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back, you guys.
Stay woke. That's why they released their data.
Maybe they did. Maybe they did. You don't know that. You don't know that.
We need to really launch that new show, Jason.
Hey man.
But anyways,
we'll talk about it. You're going to come down here next week on the weekend, and we'll coordinate all that.
We are back.
We know we're back. We know we're back.
Up next, everybody's favorite, highly recognized New England-based organic chemistry expert and professor. He's always bringing a little Functional Friday heat when he's on the mic, so get your notepads ready for another study sesh with Dr. Mark Shoutout.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Thank you, Rico.
Happy Friday,
Happy
Dr.
New
Mark.
Year. Hope everyone's doing well, having a great week. Hope
Yes.
we got some great plans for the weekend that include cannabis. So my story today comes from the MJ Biz Daily, and it's entitled Banking, Veterans, and Research Top Priorities for Congress, New Cannabis Caucus Chair says. If U.S. Rep. Dina Titus, who I believe is from Nevada, has her way, the 119th Congress will finally pass cannabis banking reform as well as bills easing military veterans' access to medical marijuana and research abilities to study the drugs. If this all sounds familiar or like a crass joke, in the weeks before Groundhog Day, it should. Those popular and long sought after wins are what the Nevada Democrat and newly minted co-chair of Congressional Cannabis Caucus immediate predecessors chased after, Titus acknowledged during an interview with the MJ Biz Daily. Titus, whose caucus co-chair is fellow Democratic Rep. Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, spoke with MJ Biz Daily only days after the newly seated Congress voted to certify November presidential election that will allow Donald Trump to return to the presidency on January 20th. With new members sworn in just after the new year, and with most of the attention focused on the incoming president and welcoming new members to Washington, D.C., bill introductions and the necessary wrangling to get them passed will come later. That said, Titus expects members of the U.S. U.S. House of Representatives to reintroduce in the coming months the Safer Banking Act, which has been introduced and passed by the House a number of times under Democratic leadership, she noted. It will also look to address the Veterans Equal Access Act, with more ambitious bills ensuring veterans access to cannabis via the Veterans Administration system to potentially follow. They'll also be looking at the Higher Education Marijuana Research Act, which specifically allows for colleges, yay colleges, and universities, yay universities, to obtain cannabis research purposes if allowed by state or tribal government in which they're located. That roll call of relatively modest bills and the notable absence for now of more ambitious legislation such as nationwide legalization is yet another reminder of how far the federal government continues to lag behind the states. In its history, Congress has managed to pass only one standalone cannabis bill, the Medical Marijuana and Cannabidiol Research Expansion Act, which passed a Democratic-controlled Congress in 2022 amid criticism that it did not go far enough. Since then, there has been very little progress. The Senate called for the banking reform bill for a committee hearing in September 2023, but it went no farther than that. During her interview with MJ Biz Daily, Titus struck a states' right tone, noting Nevada's implementation of laws legalizing consumption lounges in the tourist mecca of Las Vegas, which Titus represents on Capitol Hill. I support state regulation, but there are some areas where the federal government can be involved, she said. We need to get some things done here for the federal government to catch up to the states. Former U.S. Representative Earl Blumenauer, a Democrat from Oregon, and Dana Rohrabacher, Republican from California, formed the Congressional Cannabis Caucus in 2016 to help pass marijuana reform acts. Titus and Omar take over the Cannabis Caucus co-chairs from Blumenauer and former Rep. Barbara Lee, a Democrat from California. They'll still enjoy Republican support of the likes of Ohio Representative Dave Joyce, who has repeatedly co-sponsored and marshaled the conservative support of the Banking Reform Act, as well as Florida Representative Brian Mast, a longtime advocate for cannabis access for veterans through the VA. Other congressional Republicans, including far-right Trump stalwarts, such as South Carolina's Representative Nancy Mace and Representative George Stubbe from Florida, also introduced or co-sponsored marijuana reform bills. Reforming the Farm Bill to close the loophole that allows for hemp-derived THC products is also on these bipartisan lawmakers' agenda, Titus said. Through protections from the federal interference for financial institutions that businesses with state-regulated marijuana businesses passed. The House 7 times previous, the Safer Banking Act did not receive even a committee hearing under Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson. Many cannabis interests are vocally disappointed with former Democratic Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Safer Banking Act sponsor, who nevertheless declined to call for the bill for a full floor vote because there was inadequate Republican support to pass the 60-vote threshold needed under the filibuster rules. The outlook for the Senate under Republican leader John Thune of South Dakota isn't any better. Getting it out of the House is always easier than the Senate, but there are members in the Senate who were supportive on the House bill or the House side before, Titus said. That includes seemingly unlikely or limited supporters such as new U.S. Senator Jim Banks, a Republican from Indiana, who co-sponsored the banking reform bill while serving in the House, even though his home state has not approved of any kind of regulated marijuana market. Conventional wisdom has held that new states with recreational marijuana mean new supporters in Congress. Though adult use sales began in Ohio in August, voters in that state elected Bernie Moreno to the Senate in November, even though the Republican is a political newcomer without an established record on cannabis. Moreno will represent Ohio in the Senate with whomever Republican Governor Mike DeWine appoints to serve the rest of J.D. Vance's term once Vance is sworn in as vice president. DeWine's choice might be someone who Joyce can sell the Banking Reform Act to. Trump, who was not favorable towards marijuana during his first term, expressed support for both the rescheduling process as well as adult use legalization measure in Florida last fall that failed. Though the Trump endorsement didn't push Amendment 3 over the line in Florida, in part because 60% support was needed to pass a constitutional amendment in that state, the Republican House and Senate leadership in Congress are known legalization skeptics. The president's-elect's words may change things, Titus predicted, but who knows? Titus also opened the door for Congress to take action to push to reclassify marijuana as a less harmful substance under federal law stalls out or yields an unwelcome result. Marijuana rescheduling launched in October 2022 by President Joe Biden is now struck in limbo after the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration law judge paused the process on Monday. That's the problem is with this uncertainty. One administration does this and the DEA does that, she says. Yeah, we're going to do it, but they're going to take too long, she said. That's where Congress can be engaged to establish what that certainty is by pushing for descheduling. But Titus isn't banking on any help from the White House. I have no sense about anything he does, she says. He changes from one tweet to the next. I wouldn't bet on it, and I wouldn't take odds in Las Vegas. Well, my take on this is that it's, like flushing the toilet. It's the same bowl of shit. So they just are doing lots of talking. The fact that the DEA had all these hearings and then just kind of put a pause on this thing. Yeah, we predicted it here on High at 9 News that this was just all lip service. The only people who are going to win are the trap and this hemp-derived marketplace, which seems to be growing exponentially, especially because cannabis MSOs are now embracing that business strategy and getting into the hemp business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to tell, again, with the change of administration, changes some seats in Congress, whether or not, cannabis has got two legs going forward in 2025. That's, what I have to say here. What do you guys think about this?
Man, this article was definitely written by a lefty because they're calling Congresswoman Nancy Mace a far right individual. So that's was kind of funny to me to hear that position, and the fact that they said that Trump wasn't necessarily pro cannabis. I mean, I think he was extremely pro cannabis. He legalized the Farm Bill under his term. There were actually no raids under his first tenure, and like I was raided twice under Obama, and Obama was supposed to be God's gift to weed, and campaigned on that, but nonetheless.
I think the next 100 days are going to be interesting.
Yes.
And I think that we all need to keep our eyes open, especially of those of us who did vote for Trump. There's been a lot promised. There does seem to be a lot of movement. This woman, what's her name from Nevada?
Dina Titus. Yep. She is. She is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm not mad at that, but like I said, I agree with your assessment as far as Congresswoman Titus's proactivity in regards with cannabis. Like I said, I met with her numerous times. I'm very familiar with her. We have a very good relationship, and she has been very good. And so I think she's going to do well with this new leadership role in the Cannabis Caucus. And I wish her nothing but the best of luck. And hopefully we can actually get something done during this congressional session.
Yes,
I'm all the way with it. All the way with it. You have anything you'd like to say, Jenny Beth or Dr. Talleyrand?
So do they have the votes for safe banking?
Well, they definitely have the votes. The question is whether or not it will get put up for a vote, I think, is the bigger question. And I'm hoping that Congresswoman Nancy Mace used some leverage in that in her because she was one of the final votes that had to switch in order for Speaker Mike Johnson to remain as the speaker. And so I'm hoping that she used cannabis as an issue to demand the fact that he put cannabis legislation at least up for votes, so we can see exactly where the chips may fall, so to say, when that legislation is presented before Congress.
Well, neither side of the aisle has done very much in many years, and so I'm like Jesse. I'm cautiously
cautiously optimistic.
Not optimistic.
No, you're not optimistic. Oh man, bro, we're about to come on. You see the hat, Dr. T. We're about to make cannabis great again.
I mean, I personally voted for Trump, not because of Trump, but because of all of the people that he put around him, and leading that charge being RFK. So
yeah,
because of that, I expect there will be movement. And that's where my optimism comes from, but that's also where my suspicion comes from. I could see this all as a deal to get a bunch of people like me to vote that way. And so I'm very suspicious of whether or not they're going to actually start moving. Yeah, and I'm going to also be very vocal about it because it's important to me. I think this is about the future of our children, and I have 7 of them. So this really matters. And cannabis is at the forefront of human advancement in freedom in America and has been for a long time. So I really hope there's some change.
Yep, I'm all about change. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about quarters, nickels, dimes, and pennies, but you know what I'm saying? Like real change. And,
That's right.
Yes. And on that, we are going to roll right into Dr. Gene Talleyrand. He's the founder of the CESC and of Medican, where you should be getting all of your cannabis recommendations, especially if you're here in the great state of California. That's right. Here to come and set the record straight with some great medical news is none other than Dr. Gene Talleyrand.
We dropped audio.
Oh, did you miss the last?
No, the audience is saying they can't hear you.
We're good. Go ahead.
it.
Start over. Please start over.
Okay. So my headline today is a study published in the Journal of Addictive Behaviors, Associations Between Cannabis Use and Same-Day Health and Substance Use Behaviors by Irene De La Torre at the Stevenson Cancer Center at University of Oklahoma and in collaboration with other scientists at the university. This study was funded by a grant from the National Cancer Institute and money from the Oklahoma Tobacco Settlement Endowment. The primary objective of the study was to examine associations between daily cannabis use and both positive and negative behaviors. This study used a smartphone-based survey technique that had participants responding in real time to repetitive prompted questions. 98 participants reported over a 28-day period on their daily cannabis use, the number of alcoholic drinks they consumed, and the number of cigarettes they smoked, and any moderately vigorous physical activity. Only participants who reported at least 1 day of cannabis use during the 28-day period were included. So previous studies showed overall 9% increase in cannabis users from 2017 to 2022, with a 3% increase in daily cannabis use among those aged 19 to 30, and an 11% increase in daily cannabis use among those aged 35 to 50. However, research on the associations between daily cannabis use and other behaviors is limited. Both alcohol consumption and cigarette smoking are associated with cancer and other negative consequences. On the other hand, daily physical activity improves heart, muscle, bone, and psychological function. Insufficient physical activity remains a major public health issue in the United States, and increasing physical activity can increase life expectancy. So the study authors hypothesized that daily cannabis use would be associated with an increase in all three: physical activity, alcohol consumption, and cigarette smoking. Their rationale was that all behaviors trigger the dopamine reward system and would likely potentiate each other. Prior studies on cannabis use and physical activity were equivocal, some showing positive association, others negative association. Co-use of alcohol, and that's called the crossfade, right?
Yeah.
And cannabis is common and increasing. Previous studies also show that cannabis use is associated with increased cigarette smoking. The result of the study is that daily cannabis use is positively associated with daily physical activity, with a 3-minute longer workout on cannabis using days. However, participants on average had an extra half an alcohol drink and 2/3 of a cigarette on those days as well. So the hypothesis was confirmed. So what, you might say? Tell me something I didn't know. Well, it's dry January, and maybe you decided to stop drinking. Maybe you continued using cannabis and are wondering why you are craving a drink or a cigarette. This study suggests that going for a walk, a run, or a bike ride may compensate for that craving. And thank cannabis for the extra 3 minutes of workout. Many behaviors trigger the dopamine reward system. Some are good for you and others are not. It's a natural response and up to you to choose what's right. I also want to point out that this study has limitations because it assumes that the participants are younger and inhaling type 1 THC dominant cannabis. There is an increasing elderly population of cannabis users that prefer ingesting CBD. We've got to appropriately classify cannabis before doing these studies. Happy dry January, everyone. This is Dr. Jean Talleyrand with High at 9 News.
Yes, I love this story, Dr. T. This is, this just shows that, cannabis is all part of a well-managed regimen to keep yourself healthy.
Unless you're smoking cigarettes or drinking.
Well, I mean, but then doesn't it just, it makes it makes them not as bad?
No.
No?
Dr. T, aren't there other studies that contradict this completely, that cannabis use decreases the use of alcohol in populations over time?
There's less. There are some studies that hint at it by saying that there's less alcohol sales, so that there may be. This is just a group of 100 people watching them over a month to see what they're doing real time. So their potential biases absolutely and limitations.
Do we know?
Do we know where the sample came from?
Yeah, exactly. What state was this in?
Where's these 100 people from?
Out of Oklahoma.
Oh, interesting. Out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, and this is a NIDA fund. This is a NIH funded study. I'm sure they were looking for negative effects.
Oh, they definitely were.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they set out to find this, and they found the right 100 people who would kind of confirm their thing, and they just because it just sounded contradictory to so many things that I've heard and learned over time, that it's just like, it doesn't increase alcohol use. I mean, know that in my own personal life, it definitely doesn't, because too much crossfade is too much crossfade. You can't function. You can't live life and be crossfaded all the time. Speak for yourself,
Jesse. Speak for yourself.
Oh, well, sure, Jason.
I mean, this is a great experiment here, Jesse versus Jason. And that's probably why we're getting some of these conflicting results, as you're pointing out, Jesse. Some people do, some people don't. There definitely is a culture around crossfading.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
I love a good crossfade.
I'm not going to deny that I don't love a good crossfade once in a while, but it's like you can pay the price, you know what I mean? So, especially the older we get, alcohol is just not as friendly to you at 45 as at 25, obviously.
I completely agree, Jesse. I think it's a great replacement.
Well, Leah Patrick just sent in a big old super chat and just says thank you. Now, Leah, it doesn't say anything else in there, so if there is something that you were also saying, it's not showing on my end, but we do definitely want to thank you for the big old super chat, and thank you for tuning in every day. We definitely appreciate you being here. Jenny, what do you got to say about this dry January, Jenny Beth?
I'm a child, so I was sober for 9 months, so that counts as 9 dry Januaries, so I have some saved up. So not participating this year, but I did quit smoking, so that's good.
Oh, no way. Congratulations.
Yeah,
that is
congratulations.
Fantastic
That's
news,
important.
man. Hold on. We're going to give you a big old round of applause for that, Jenny Beth. We are excited about that. That is fantastic news to hear. Oh, man.
And was that cigarette smoking or...
Health is wealth, you guys. That is fantastic news, Jenny Beth. I'm so excited. You made my heart smile today.
No,
was it difficult, and did you use cannabis to help you?
It hasn't been that hard. I'm pretty stubborn, so I've quit many times in the past, and just
she is stubborn. That is true. That part is very true. Yeah. I agree with that. I've witnessed that many a times. Dr. Mark, you have any thoughts on this before we move on?
Yeah, for all you tobacco consumers, remember that there's billion-dollar corporations that are relying on your filthy habit to fill their coffers with their profits so they can continue spending millions of dollars keeping cannabis good and illegal.
Fair.
Smoke tobacco.
Fair point. I'm not mad at that. And we are going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
All right. And we're back, you guys. Make sure that you stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you've not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can find directly on our website at www.highatnightnews.com, you guys.
Are you a business that's suffering from the hyperinflation that is plaguing America today? We have the solution for you. That's right, Patriot Business Financing. Head on over to www.patriotbfc.com and apply for a loan up to $2 million. Any state, any industry, even the cannabis industry, the CBD industry, as well as the industrial hemp fiber industry, secure up to $2 million today. And make sure that when you apply, you tell Paul you said hi from High at 9.
Anthony. And we are back, and we are going to roll right in to the Southern Belle herself. She's America's sweetheart, Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the founder of Kind Cannabis and of Justice Served, a 501c3 that helps justice impaired individuals get their life back on track. That's right, it is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
The fact that you know it's justice impacted, because we went over it yesterday, but you're still going with impaired.
I like Justice Impaired. I think it sounds better.
Amazing. All right. So you'll like this one, Jason.
I love it.
I don't like it. I think it's bullshit, but
okay.
President Biden has taken significant steps in criminal justice reform, including granting historic numbers of commutations. However, one glaring issue remains unresolved. Thousands of nonviolent marijuana offenders are still languishing in federal prisons, despite Biden's campaign promise to free them. Advocates and critics alike are calling attention to what they see as painful hypocrisy. While the president recently pardoned his son, Hunter Biden, for his legal troubles, ordinary Americans, many serving decade-long sentences for nonviolent marijuana offenses, remain behind bars. Families like those of Parker Coleman and Jerry Heyman continue to wait in agony for the mercy Biden promised. Recently, Biden commuted nearly 2,500 sentences for nonviolent drug offenses, but there was no clarity on whether marijuana cases were included. While he also pardoned those convicted of low-level marijuana possessions, those actions have not freed a single person or erased the devastating impact of felony convictions. Critics point out that to date, Biden has pardoned more Thanksgiving turkeys than individuals incarcerated for marijuana-related offenses. The selective mercy has led to growing frustration among advocates who see it as a betrayal of the principles of fairness and justice that Biden campaigned on. Meanwhile, the legal cannabis industry continues to flourish. Companies like Glass House Brands in California profit from growing and selling marijuana, activities for which many are still imprisoned. This double standard erodes public trust in a justice system that appears to favor privilege over fairness. There is hope. The Weldon Angeles Presidential Pardon Expungement Act, introduced by bipartisan members of Congress, could help individuals who have received presidential pardons for federal offenses, including marijuana, petition for full expungement of their records. Such legislation is critical because even with a pardon, a criminal record can create significant barriers to employment and reintegration. Advocates are calling on both Biden and President-elect Trump to support this legislation and make it a priority. The issue goes beyond political promises. It's a matter of justice. Advocates point out that Biden's personal experience as a parent should give him a deeper understanding of the anguish families face when a loved one is imprisoned. They argue it's time for him to extend the same compassion he showed his son to the thousands of families waiting for justice. With only a short time left in his presidency, Biden still has the power to act. Families like those of Parker Coleman and Jerry Heyman are urging him to fulfill his promise, right these wrongs, and deliver the fairness Americans deserve. If he doesn't, advocates hope the next administration will take decisive action to finally end this hypocrisy. Justice, they say, demands consistency, and the time to act is now. So there have been a lot of pardons and a lot of sentences commuted, but we aren't sure if it's cannabis or not. There's been no clarity. And the first round of pardons definitely were not cannabis people. I believe there were 2, I think, cannabis justice involved individuals on that list. So, I would just like to see, once again, we have a president who has made promises that have not been fulfilled and has made very surface level, don't even call it an attempt. I'm trying to find a nice way to say this so everybody doesn't get mad at me. Well, okay, it's just bullshit. So he did everything for optics. The pardons for people who are low-level marijuana offenses, none of them are sitting in a federal fucking prison because no federal judge is prosecuting somebody for an ounce of weed. So we need to be really aware of not just who we're voting for, but how to hold them accountable. So love to see some accountability here. Would love to see Parker Coleman free, as his co-defendants already are, and Parker is just sitting there seemingly forgotten. So, yes, throw it back to you guys.
Man. Yeah, I heard about this. I saw a few different things about it, and actually, I saw this on this other news outlet, and I was just like, this is pretty crazy. Where did it go? Oh, that's the wrong. I gotta get. It's on this phone. Sorry. Yeah, it says, here we go. Biden breaks record for pardoning communications, and Biden announced that he was commuting the sentences of nearly 2,500 people convicted of nonviolent drug offenses, saying he has now issued more individual pardons and commutations than any of his predecessors. I want to know how many people actually got out of jail.
Right. Well, he dropped a lot of people's cocaine convictions.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe that's because of Hunter, maybe he sees whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just really frustrating. And I see sites like LPP posting that 2,500 number like it's 2,500 cannabis prisoners that are going home. To me, that sounds like fundraising.
Exactly. And to me, it just sounds like a whole bunch of gaslighting, and maybe that's why we have such good lighting in the studio.
Yeah, all right.
You didn't like that one, Dr. T?
I'd say Nick's not wrong too. Trump did have a chance to do this 4 years ago for a lot of people and didn't. And
he actually
this
did do it for a number of people, though. He actually did do it for a number of people. But not all of them.
And we're asking for all of them.
And
and this is another thing that I think we need to hold this administration to the fire on, because there's a lot of promises right now that it's going to be different this time.
Mm-hmm.
So it better be very fast. He has the opportunity to pardon all these people right away.
Mm-hmm.
So he could do this stroke of his pen day one.
Well,
so this is a very easy thing to get done.
Hold on a second, Jesse, because it's actually not as easy as that in regards with the whole process of how this all works. And
he could just pronounce the pardons and get it started.
That's not how it works. There's a whole thing of how this goes down. And I believe on Wednesday we are going to have Weldon Angelos here on the show with us, and we're going to go over all of this on Wednesday. And so that's basically what we have scheduled as of now, tentatively, but that is a majority of the plan is to discuss all of this, and hopefully by that time we'll have a full list of all these 2,500 people.
Yes, publishing the list and declaring your intentions and starting the balls moving. Mm-hmm. He can start day one. That's easy.
That's fair.
And he should, if he's really serious about this, and the people underneath him are really serious about this.
Well, I know the people underneath him are very serious, and I know he's a really serious.
That's what I keep hearing. That's what I keep hearing from everyone. It's not just you, and I hear from a lot of places all over the place that there are a lot of people in cannabis very close to Trump right now.
Yep.
And the message is very positive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's see some action right away.
I'm expecting to see. I am definitely expecting to see some action. Dr. Mark, Dr. Gene, do you have anything you'd like to say in regards with this?
Are these nonviolent convictions? Are they staying in because they have possession of guns or something?
Well, see that's the thing is a lot. Most of these people with nonviolent cannabis convictions aren't in federal prison for cannabis. They're in for conspiracy and other related charges that were different types of enhancements involving in different types of cases and whatnot. And so that's one of the reasons that it creates such a conundrum to try to figure out exactly who's who and the whole process. And that's why I was saying this is not something that he can do on day one, because you have to basically research pretty much every single case with a fine-tooth comb to see who actually qualifies under that, and it's not an easy task or an easy lift at all whatsoever. It's very tedious.
Yeah, and possessing a firearm during the commission of a crime then makes it classified as a violent crime. It's no longer classified.
Correct.
Really?
Correct.
Wow.
Yep. That is correct. So that it changes the whole dynamics of this, and that's why it's not just something that he can just done. You know what I mean? It's a very, very different, very complicated issue to have to unpack and unravel. Dr. Mark, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I was going to just reiterate what you just said, Jason, that they're probably in there for multiple offenses.
Mm-hmm.
I think what he can do on day one, is just make sure that they put an end to this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And just make sure they take cannabis use or cannabis consumption or cannabis selling or anything having to do with cannabis out of the list of charges at the federal level.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting. I'm not sure if he can necessarily do that, but that is an interesting thought right there. Might have to throw that out over to them and see what kind of feedback we get back on that. I'm not mad at that possibility, but we're gonna roll into our final commercial and we are gonna be right back.
Are you all ready for America's new #1 D9 gummy line? That's right, we are bringing to you Parody Gummy. These vegan gummies are manufactured in a safe harbor facility, so you know they're gonna be clean and safe, and they're not gonna give you any of the runaround. Coming in, we have 3 amazing flavors for you. We have the Raspberry Riots. Also, we have the Sleepy Joes if you need something to help you sleep at night. And if you're feeling like raging and having a party time, that's right, we have the Pineapple Bad Hombre. If you're feeling like a bad hombre, make sure you head over to www.parodygummy.com and secure your bag today.
Oh, and we are back, and we are going to roll right into Mr. Jesse Barney. That's right. Jesse Barney started off with us at the beginning of High at 9 News and did a lot of our graphic design and artwork and not, and you can find him at Jesse Barney Design Co. or Barney Design. That's right. It is none other than the man himself, Mr. Jesse Barney.
Yeah, all right. Good morning, you all. My story comes out of WDRB in Kentucky, and it is Louisville firefighters file lawsuit against Metro government for right to use medical marijuana. Louisville firefighters want to be able to use medical marijuana. A lawsuit filed this week against Louisville Metro states, according to their collective bargaining agreement, firefighters wouldn't be disciplined for using medical marijuana as long as they didn't come to work while using the drug. Also, according to the lawsuit, the current contract states medical marijuana would be treated like other prescription drugs. However, the lawsuit states Chief Brian O'Neill sent an email to staff saying the department would continue to prohibit all use of marijuana by employees. In an email to the chief, the Louisville Professional Firefighters Association president said, due to the physical and mental demanding conditions firefighters have to work under, there would be benefits to using marijuana. Therefore, the union president said that the contract protects his members who may choose to seek it as medical treatment. The lawsuit asks that union members be allowed to use the drug. We've seen this all over the place around the country. And firefighters are a perfect example of people who could benefit from cannabis and use it in their off time, and also use other non-intoxicating forms of it, such as balms and things of that nature. And they're not allowed to by their local right-wing government typically who refuses to let that happen. So this is just sad. Firefighters, we should be taking care of them, and cannabis is a very easy way to allow that to happen. So I'm sure the
Did you
doctors
say
have plenty to
firefighters?
say. Maybe I slipped and said that. But that gives a great mental image. No, yeah. So I'm sure the doctors, you both have plenty to say about this, and firefighters being able to use cannabis and why they would need it.
Stress.
Yeah, stress.
Yeah, plenty of it.
Having to work 12-hour shifts. I mean, they need a way to come down and relax. And I'm sure, just like any emergency responding personnel, I mean, their job is pretty freaking intense.
Yeah, people compare cannabis to alcohol all the time, and the big difference to me is that for some things, people can work with cannabis while they shouldn't be working with alcohol. So this is why cannabis is not like alcohol. You can function with cannabis where you may not, maybe not drive a car, but you can definitely put out a fire.
Yeah, I stand with these firefighters 100%. I hope they're ultimately successful with this. And we've seen a couple other different agencies and municipalities file similar cases. And I think of any people that should be able to smoke cannabis, it should definitely be firefighters. I mean, they're trained in safety with fire. Just for that reason alone, they should be able to smoke cannabis, because it's all about the fire. You know what I mean, Doctor? Just saying.
Absolutely.
Just saying. Safe and sane.
Yeah, the metaphors of firefighters smoking weed they abound for sure.
Exactly. I mean, you know what I mean? You're not going to have to worry about them, you know what I'm saying, doing dangerous things while having fire in their hands.
It would give new meaning to fighting fire with fire.
Oh, I like that. Fighting fire with fire. Yes, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad. Come over here on this side, Dana. Come over here on this side, Dana. Yeah. I got the mic on. I don't have this mic on right here. I got Congressman Rohrabacher over here with me today, you guys.
All right.
He wants to say a quick message for our new Congress here. Duck down just a little. Here, take the seat, Dana. Here.
Oh, no. Well, anyway.
Here, go ahead. Sit down right here, Dana.
Okay.
And talk into the mic.
Well, first of all, it's not Congressman Rohrabacher anymore. It's just plain Dana.
Let you tell it.
I'm Dana.
Let you tell it.
Nice. And my old buddies can't get over the fact that I'm no longer a congressman. And
You're always the congressman.
I guess.
Yeah.
For 30 years,
Yeah.
I was in the House. And then 7 years before that, leading up to that, I was a special assistant to President Reagan. God has been good to me. I can tell you, God has been good to me, and I'm grateful for it. And I think that gratitude really helps you get through a lot of problems. If you face challenges in your life, if you're grateful for those lessons you already have, you're going to get through those next challenges as well. And we've got a lot of challenges in our country.
And Dana, you wanted to tell everybody to wish this new Congress some positive progress in regards with cannabis reform, as well as the incoming administration and everyone that's going to be working to help make cannabis great again.
Well, my belief in cannabis was basically people should be free to do what they want to do with their own lives. And I, of course, am not endorsing and never did endorse the use of cannabis, although maybe when I was a kid I might have
Fair enough.
Been involved.
Yeah, surf Dana.
Surf Dana. Maybe even a little later than just being a kid. But anyway, the fact is that I don't use cannabis now, and I haven't used it for a long, long time, but it should be free for people who live in a free country to consume what they want to do. As what they're legitimately have the choice of doing. So I was very happy that one of the great things that I accomplished as a member of Congress had to do with not cannabis freedom, but freedom that included cannabis. And of course, I'm a lot of people now see me as the guy who wrote the bill that basically it brought in commercial space, and it's the Commercial Space Act of 2004. A lot of people see that as that wasn't necessarily a freedom issue. That was an issue about whether or not we were going to succeed as a people. But I see the cannabis questions that we must face as a people as being basically fundamental to our way of thinking as free people in the world, trying to lead the world into a better and a freer future. We should be saying, if somebody wants to consume cannabis, that's their business, not our business.
Very, 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 very fair.
And so, what did I do?
Very fair, buddy.
But the first step was, thank you for remembering it. I appreciate you are letting people know about it. That I authored an amendment to an appropriations bill that said basically, you cannot make illegal, because you cannot use any federal government money to supersede a state law that legalizes the medical use of marijuana. And because of that, we made some great steps forward.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Speaking of steps forward, I have an interesting story to share, Dana. I want to hear what you think about this. And this is that feel good story I told you guys about today. All right, so we're gonna end the show with a feel good story. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this, because Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders in the great state of Arkansas outlines a goal for free school breakfast program in the state. Of the state address, you guys. That's right. Using tax revenue from medical marijuana sales to fund free school breakfast for every child in Arkansas is a goal of Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, as well as financially sustaining free and reduced meal programs already in place. The Department of Finance and Administration says that in 2024, $30 million in tax dollars was generated from dispensaries. And in the 2023 legislative session, lawmakers voted to make the switch from dedicating that money to get a National Cancer Institute designation for the UAMS to tackling food insecurity issues, you guys. According to the Department of Education, Arkansas currently has over 225,000 students who qualify for the free meal programs and nearly 60,000 who qualify for reduced meals and over 190,000 who pay for their meals alone. Richard Tatum started a food pantry a few years ago to meet the needs of his community. As a parent, he said the thought of providing one free meal a day will take a burden off. And in a quote, he says, "I think it's really important that children are able to get those meals. If you're hungry, you can't really function properly," Tatum said. And man, oh man, Stephanie Walker-Hines is the children's nutrition specialist for the Little Rock School District, and she said they feed more students at lunch than at breakfast. And in a quote says, "We are very excited because it is a step in the right direction." Walker-Hines says universal meals, of course, allows us to feed any child who wants to eat without any barriers. A future goal of hers, if the proposal becomes law, is to make lunch also completely free and work on higher meal reimbursement rates for districts, you guys. And in a quote, they say, "Even if we can't get lunch this next school year, perhaps it'll help some of those families who have to pay, because those are students who eat both breakfast and lunch with us every day," Walker-Hines says. And in an additional quote, then this quote is from Tatum, says, "I would love to see it to where it is not just breakfast, but lunch as well," Tatum said. And man, oh man, oh man, I think this is fantastic news. This is a fantastic use of our tax resources from the cannabis community to make sure that our children in our school system are fed breakfast and lunch. And I hope that this program is ultimately successful. And shout out to Sarah Huckabee Sanders for championing this type of use of funds. I'm extremely happy about this. I think this is a really good thing, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
It's a step in the right direction. I would also like to see that they're not just buying Lunchables or white bread and the worst possible byproduct meat that they can pile together.
Well, I mean,
I'd like to see quality ingredients
food,
and stuff.
They're not feeding the kids prison food.
Well, I don't know if you've seen school lunches around the country, but it basically is prison food.
I don't know, bro.
So,
I had school lunches. They weren't terrible.
Trust me, bro. I have 7 children. I understand exactly what kids in school eat.
Oh,
and
man.
It's not very great, and that's why the Maha movement and Robert F. Kennedy and the things that they're moving to do and saying that they're going to do. This is another one of the big things that needs to happen. Like I said, this is a step in the right direction. Getting kids food at all is great. Let's make sure it's good food too.
I'm not mad at that.
I love this is such a socialist idea. I love that.
I don't know if it's socialism. I'm not calling it socialism, but I am definitely do want to help make sure that children have food to eat. I know that hunger is probably one of the worst pains that one can ever experience in life. And if you're trying to learn and get an education and really be somebody and better yourself, making sure that you're not hungry is one of those things that's one of the things you don't have to worry about, is only going to help you improve yourself and improve your education.
I love this, and just to point out that this idea, I believe, started with the Black Panther Party way back in the days, and so thank them for introducing this idea that has kind of stuck with us, where we're really trying to help our kids in schools.
Yeah, I mean, a number of kids don't have food at home to eat, and so sometimes these school meals are the only meals that these kids get to eat at a day, and that they can rely on. And so I think that's an important thing. You have any thoughts on this, Dana?
Is that a state?
Yeah, the state of Arkansas.
Well, if the state of Arkansas wants to look at this as an alternative for their limited resources, these are limited resources. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Let them do it. And but let me just say that I don't see any reason why you have to tie feeding children who are hungry to your freedom to consume whatever you want to consume.
Oh, no. They're basically, Dana, what they're doing is they're using the tax revenues from their cannabis sales to fund this program for school lunch.
Well, cannabis should be treated like any other product.
I agree with that. I agree with that too.
So if they're going to increase the taxes that are derived from cannabis or whatever, cannabis should be treated like every other thing. And why should the cannabis bear the burden of feeding those children any more than any other product?
You do have a point there. I understand that, and the reality is that they haven't done this already. But now that they have this new revenue source coming in, I'm glad to see them at least putting it to some positive use.
Well, that should be positive use. Could also be creating jobs for the parents of these kids, so they could actually afford to buy food for their own children. And the fact is that when the government gets involved in these type of programs. By the way, I believe it should be left up to the states, no matter what issue we're talking about. So I'm not coming out and opposing this, but let the people of that state make the determination. I would be a little suspect about trying to pick one product and making that the source of food money.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I'm not opposed to that.
I agree. Why not use the alcohol and tobacco tax as well?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And of course, now, look, I happen to think that medical use of marijuana is going to increase because there are wonderful things that can happen with cannabis oil, and those of us who, I'm a surfer, and again, you get these pains in your body when you're out paddling around because you're stretching everything. Well, a little bit of cannabis oil, I think, will take care of that.
Yeah.
But why not let people do that? And why instead say, well, we're going to tax you differently for using cannabis oil on your sore muscles rather than using something else on your sore muscles? It's crazy.
Fair enough.
No, that makes sense. I think though that the good thing is I would rather see cannabis tax funds go to feeding children as opposed to the general fund to feed police excessive amounts of money that they don't need when they turn around and don't give us the same services they do to the rest of the community.
I think that's fair too. I think that's a very fair
But
point.
they teach the Walton family a lesson in philanthropy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put some of that money back into the Arkansas economy. Right? You have this billionaire family that relies on cheap employees and Department of Transportation roads populate their shelves with a bunch of plastic shit from China that we don't need.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's a good point too. I mean,
on the Waltons for this?
You know what? I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that comment either, Dr. Mark, at all. I mean, you know, Walmart. I say all the time, you know, in politics, until people's Walmart worlds are affected, that we're not going to have real change. You know what I mean? Because people don't really react to things politically until Walmart is affected. So I think that's a fair point right there. All right. Well, we are going to wrap this thing up. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Okay. Big thank yous to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here, and thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you, Congressman Rohrabacher, for coming in, stepping in, and providing your thoughts in regards with this.
No, wait, that's not Congressman Rohrabacher.
It's always going to be Congressman Rohrabacher.
It's data.
Yeah, you can call yourself what you want. I'm going to call yourself what I choose to. And thank you all to Cannabis for giving us a reason to do this, you guys. Thank you to Cloud Media Partners. Anthony in the building, man, really upping the production value. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, Anthony. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.